Footage was released of Ben Shapiro talking about Candace Owens, and well, this is what he had to say.
Yes, the question is about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this is disgraceful. Without a doubt. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
So yeah, that happened. And you know, I thought Ben would come out and say, sorry, I didn't know it was being filmed, or Candace, I should talk to you in private, but no. Candace saw that footage and all she did was tweet a Bible verse, and this is what Ben Shapiro had to say. Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means quit. And what's crazy about that is Candace didn't mention Ben, she didn't mention the Jews, she didn't mention Israel and Palestine, she didn't mention anything. She literally just quoted a Bible verse, and Ben Shapiro saw himself in that and decided to reply. And the reason this is so shocking to everybody, and why you're probably seeing it around in the media, especially on the more conservative side of media, is because Ben and Candace are colleagues. They actually work together on a lot of different projects. They work for the same company, so it's surprising to see someone as professional as Ben Shapiro to be talking this way about Candace Owens in such an open way and, you know, very brash. And so a question everybody is asking is, why did Ben say this? We don't know exactly why Ben said this. We don't know personally, I don't know the event he was at. I couldn't find it. Again, like I said before, I don't even know if he knew he was being filmed. But what we can do is take into account what Candace has been saying the past few weeks regarding this entire Israel and Palestine issue. What did Candace say? For one, here's a clip of Candace Owens endorsing Nikki Haley for president of Israel.
I am here today to endorse Nikki Haley for president of Israel. I think she's earned that. I think Bibi Netanyahu is going through a very bad time right now. Support for Israel has virtually collapsed socially. If you're paying attention to the trends and you're paying attention to what people are watching, you're paying attention to the protests. And the one person that I think is capable of getting it back is Nikki Haley, with enough money from foreign interest lobbies. So there it is, guys. I'm endorsing Nikki Haley, president of Israel.
And the reason this was said is because Nikki Haley has been pushing support for Israel non-stop. She's running for president of the United States, but she's constantly talking about Israel and support of Israel and how America's nothing without them. And it's like, if you feel this way, then go run for president over there. And it's like, just read the room. America is crumbling all around us, and all you have to talk about is Israel and supporting them and sending them money and pushing for this war. There's a war going on in our own nation. That is what I want people to focus on, but Nikki isn't focusing on that. So that happened. And then also Candace Owens recently had a Jewish comedian on her podcast to talk about the Israel-Palestine issue and some of the comments Candace had said, because people have been calling her anti-Semitic and Candace is being problematic, when in reality she's asking very valid questions that a lot of us are thinking. And during this clip, Candace basically asked, what makes Jews so special? Because we're seeing the outcry of anti-Semitism non-stop, but where was all this outcry for the anti-white rhetoric the past, 8 to 10 years?
People in America that are sitting here going, okay, well, can you answer why Jews are so special? Because as white people in this country on university campuses, we are being taught that we are not allowed to have a voice. We have had to endure exactly what you're talking about, BLM. We've endured much worse than you have because it's in the actual textbooks. We are being told that we are systematically racist, that we are born wrong because of the color of our skin. And if we say anything, we'll lose everything. This is the typical experience on white campuses. So people, this is not whataboutism. This is like actually what we have been fighting for years. So it sort of arrived as, I think, for a lot of Americans, a surprise when they're saying, well, now that it's about Israel, which is something that's overseas, we need to, hand these university professors, we need to do something about this issue. Why weren't we trying to correct course on this issue? Why weren't donors pulling their funding out of these universities? Why weren't these same things being said for these last, I would say, 8 years of rampant BLM, white man can't do anything right, actively being taught in the classroom?
It's like, okay, so now you care. All these big donors are pulling their money at these universities, but the past 8 to 10 years in these universities, it's been nonstop anti-white rhetoric. So you're calling on all these same white people to speak up for Jews, and you want everybody to rally behind you in Israel, you as in like the Jewish community, but in the same breath, it's crickets for a lot of white people and the destruction of America as we see it happening. I mean, truth be told, no shade, like I know this is no ill will, this is not being hateful, but we got 500,000 people in our own country dying of fentanyl that's coming in through our southern border, but you want our focus to be on 200 missing and kidnapped people by Hamas over 7,000 miles away. That's just not realistic. How can we expect America to be Captain Save-A-Ho and help everybody else in the world when we can't even save ourselves? All Candace was doing is shining light on this hypocrisy and saying, hey, you're yelling at us, calling people anti-Semitic, telling people to rally behind you in Israel, you have to stand with this, have to stand with that. For what? When the whole time it's like you've been missing in action for everything that's been going on with the destruction of America. Not everybody, but the way things are turning and acting right now, it's a little jarring. It's a little much. I was on vacation and I was seeing these missing Israel posters nonstop, and I'm just like, if I put a missing poster of my cousin Click Clack in Africa up in Texas for someone missing in Shambuki, Africa, I'm gonna be looking like I'm stupid. But we got all these flyers for somebody in Israel, and it's like, by all means, I want what's best for them, but you're asking a lot. When we're looking around us and we're seeing things crumbling, we're seeing the crime, we're seeing the drug crisis, we're seeing inflation. There's so many things going on and wrong right here in America, and that's all that's on anybody's mind. And it doesn't make someone anti-Semitic to not want to put that much attention and thought into Israel when all they want to do is all they're trying to do really is focus on where the next meal is coming from. And so with all this hypocrisy, it makes me think. It makes me think of this one clip of Ben Shapiro talking about the black community.
How can you argue that racism is not a driving factor in income inequality?
Because it has nothing to do with race and everything to do with culture. And when you have a culture that doesn't, you know what? Explain to me. You explain to me why black kids aren't graduating high school. Explain that one to me. Explain to me why black kids are shooting each other in rates significantly higher than whites are shooting each other. Explain to me why 13% of the population is responsible for 50% of the murder.
None of this to say whether Ben is right or wrong. That's not the point. The point is Ben can sit up here and talk that way about the black community and it's fine. But for Candace Owens to question the Jewish community in a very respectful way, asking valid questions, it's not like she said she's for Hamas, she's against Hamas, she's been to Jerusalem, she's very fond of Israel and Jewish people. All of a sudden it's a problem. Why is it a problem? That's the hypocrisy, and that's why people are asking questions. That's why people are upset. It's just like the math isn't mathing. Ben, you can make this video talking that harsh about the black community, not say you're right or wrong, but for anybody to question anything regarding the Jewish community, it's always met with a lot of flack. And this video's gonna get flagged. I've already get a tons of crap on Instagram for saying these things, but I'm not being hateful. I'm just asking questions, and we all should be asking questions. That's the bigger thing regarding this Candace Owens versus Ben Shapiro. It's bigger than them two fighting. It goes back to the questions that Candace is asking and looking around us and with the state of America. You got all these people pushing and fighting for us to send money over to Israel. That's our money. That's our tax-paying money. And I pay hella in taxes. So you can't sit here, take all my tax money, and then tell me I can't have an opinion on something when all that money is our money. Hawaii. Did we forget about Hawaii? Hawaii just burned down. Yeah, we accidentally sent Ukraine an extra $6 billion. That could have been money to rebuild Maui. There's so many things going on. There's so much hypocrisy at play, and it's fair to talk about it, and it's fair to ask these questions. Candace recently did an interview with Tucker Carlson outlining all this, and we're gonna get to that. But she mentions Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk, who has been devout pro-Israel and very fond of the Jewish community, he's being called anti-Semitic for asking some valid questions.
When people who are pro-Israel are now being called anti-Semites for asking meaningful questions. I talked about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, following the attacks on October 7th, turned to the Israeli government and said, how did this happen? You know, he talked about Israel being the size of New Jersey. He's been there many times. He funds thousands of students to go there and to visit. He's honestly radically pro-Israel, I would almost say. It's probably a fair thing to say about Charlie Kirk. Yeah. And he was asking these questions with the intent of, if these were your children and they were involved in this horrific attack, wouldn't you want to know these answers? He's like, you can't move 5 feet without seeing an IDF soldier. I've been to Israel, and that is a fact.
I have too, a number of times, and I admire their border barriers, and I always have. I always think, I wish we had that. So it's a totally fair question.
Totally fair question that he asked, and it got interpreted, and then there were suddenly these attacks asking the question of whether Turning Point was seeping with anti-Semitism, and how unfair to, after all of the work that he has done to support your cause, turn your back on him and to call him an anti-Semite because you don't like a question that he asked that actually was being asked from the heart and with a little bit of rage toward this even being allowed to happen. We always have to hold our governments accountable in how they are responding.
And that's very valid questions to ask. It's like, why is everything being met with anti-Semitism? Why? We're allowed to ask questions. We're allowed to talk about these things. How did Candace respond? Following the video with Ben Shapiro and the tweets that's been happening, Candace went on Tucker Carlson's show to talk about it all. And here's a clip of what she had to say.
You know, there isn't much of a background. I saw the video when everybody else saw it when I woke up.
No one warned you about it.
Nobody warned me about it. It looks like maybe he didn't know he was being recorded. It looks like it was some sort of a private event. I got no clarity on the issue that he was particularly speaking on. And in what was said, I can't respond to it beyond what he's saying because it's just ad hominem attacks. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not, we disagree, or I don't think she's correct, or maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, exactly. And so I can't respond to it on a level of intellect because there's nothing that he has expressed in that, at least in that short clip, that he fundamentally disagrees with in terms of what I said. But I will say that I'm not going to respond with the same ad hominem attacks. Yes. I don't think it helps further discussion. And if that was me that was caught on a video saying that about colleagues that I work with, I would be embarrassed. So I think that the video speaks more to Ben's character than it speaks to mine.
Has he texted you to apologize or explain or anything?
No, nothing. I haven't heard a single word. It just was sort of something that he said. And you know what? Ben and I have many disagreements, so I don't think that that's particularly something that's interesting. We disagreed on the COVID vaccine. We disagree on Ukraine and Russia. He has taken virtually every stance that has been the opposite of mine on every issue over the last 5 years. So I don't think that that's particularly remarkable.
Vaccine. Really, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, he was pro the COVID vaccine. I was anti the vaccine. We were all idiots for not getting the vaccine. So that's totally fine. I am totally open to people having a difference in opinion.
Right.
I would hope that amongst colleagues that it would always be a civil disagreement, and I would never in a private event stand on a table and talk badly about Ben.
It's just it's a little weird. So he was on the left on those three biggest issues of our time, is what you're saying?
He has converted his opinions. He's accepted responsibility. He said, I was wrong about the vaccine.
Oh, good.
He is, obviously pro pharma. His mom's a doctor. And I say to people, I'm very aware of my perspectives on big pharma, and I talk about it on my show openly. And I think that that's a tremendous credit to the Daily Wire that they allow a difference of opinions. But I as I said, hope that it would remain respectful and that you wouldn't throw your colleagues under a bus, so to speak.
And that's a fair request to ask. Just reach out to me and be civil in our disagreement, and we're good to move on. I have many friends that disagree with on politics, but it's always respectful and it's fine and it's calm. But for Ben to go on that table and talk that way, it's like, bro, you could have sent her a Slack, you could have sent her an email, a text, you could call her, but instead you sit on the table and talk crap about your own colleague just like that. Just wild to me. And in response to that tweet where Ben had said, to just quit, Candace said, "You have been acting unprofessional and emotionally unhinged for weeks now, and we have all had to sit back and allow it and have tried to exercise exceeding understanding for your raw emotion. But you cross a certain line when you come for scripture and read yourself into it. I will not tolerate it." So I don't know what Candace means by that, how she's gonna respond again to this, but it is interesting how Ben Shapiro took it upon himself to insert himself in that scripture and basically tell Candace Owens to quit Daily Wire. And ultimately, I'm not one to agree with everything that anyone says in our society. I don't agree with 100% of anyone that I know, honestly. But this issue that's going on in our society and why Candace and Ben are arguing, it points to a bigger issue that is going on in our nation. We all have seen how toxic things have become. Hell, from 2020 with Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter to the shots and that whole disease, and then you have Biden, Trump, and then you have Ukraine, Russia, and now Israel, Palestine. There's always something versus something, always. And for the critical people who like to sit back and ask a question, it's becoming more and more frustrating that that's just hard to do. There's always something wrong. If you ask a question, you're always gonna be called a slur, either racist, you're homophobic, you're anti-Semitic, all for just posing valid questions and wanting to get down to the bottom of an issue. We should all be striving to do that. We should be allowed to challenge anything we want to challenge and push back a little. That's how we talk, that's how we communicate, that's how we come to solutions. We have to have conversations and actually talk. I feel like I'm going crazy, but it's a basic thing that we all should strive to do, but more and more it's becoming increasingly hard because you have all these communities constantly dictating speech and what we can and cannot say. The tensions are rising in this country, and that is the exact reason why. No one can say no one can say anything, no one can talk about anything. And the second you do talk about something, you get in trouble, you get canceled, you get fired, you lose your friends, you lose your family, everything just crumbles around you for literally just having a conversation. It blows my mind. And it's why I'll always have my content here. I'll always have this YouTube channel. I'll always be using my voice somehow, some way. It'll be me and y'all always talking back and forth, because damn it, I'll be damned if my voice gets silenced, because my ancestors went through too damn much for me to sit here and watch this world crumble and not say shit. You got the gay community, don't misgender me, you have my right pronouns, and if you don't, you're homophobic. That's why people don't like you no more. Like, literally, that is why people just find the gay community to be so annoying and aggro all the time. We got black people. You have to stand with Black Lives Matter. All white people are racist. America sucks. This is why people are increasingly just becoming more prejudiced and more stereotypical about black people. Because look at how we're acting and look at the things that we're demanding. It's literally driving people in this country up a wall. Jewish community, you have to stand with Israel. You have to hate Kanye West. Oh, you're not doing this, you're anti-Semitic. It's like, bro, this is why so many people are pushing back and like low-key sitting back like, actually, I'm getting irritated by this too. Because boom, you're throwing around these terms. Now everybody's anti-Semitic for just asking questions. This is why there's rising tensions and people are not liking this group that much anymore. Because you're demanding people to feel a certain type of way, and you cannot do that. When you try to censor speech and mandate for people to say something, that's when people don't like you. That's when people find you annoying. That's when people start to really, really look at you a different kind of way. Especially when there's a lot of hypocrisy at play. I'm calling out the Jewish community, the black community too. It's like, how you sitting here talking about Black Lives Matter? You gotta stand with us, you gotta fight for us, but we don't even feel like our own lives matter. We out here killing each other nonstop. Looting and tearing down businesses like what? Gay community, how are we demanding all this respect and equality this, equality that, when you're over here like throwing how to give oral in books in elementary schools? Like, this is a real thing, y'all. You're mandating your students to call you a they.
My name is Teacher Roby. I am non-binary. I use they, them pronouns.
Clown world. I'm going absolutely crazy. But this is where we're at. And this is why there's a growing segment of people absolutely frustrated with the state of where our nation is. Like, it's getting to a point where we don't even know what speech is. We don't know what's up and what's down. We don't know what's left and what's right. Everything is racist. Everything is homophobic. Everything is anti-Semitic. It's like words don't even have the same meaning anymore. And when we get to that point, that's when things become very dangerous, and then no one cares. No one cares. You're calling Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk anti-Semitic? In what world? You're calling me racist and homophobic? In what world? Like, the words have meaning, but you're making them not have meaning. I mean, hell, men can be women and women can be men. It's all bat crazy. But regardless, like I said in my last video outlining my opinion on Israel and Palestine, you can watch that here. Do not allow yourself to be manipulated by current events. There are so many hands at play capitalizing off of our fear and our attention. And just be mindful of that, because like I said before, it's always this versus that. Every season is always a cycle of division, and I want you to keep your eyes peeled for that and not fall victim to it, because we can come together and actually have more conversations, but it's the people on the fringes that just don't want that to happen. And for what reason why, I don't know yet. We're gonna try to figure that out, but I know for damn sure the people watching me, we know how to have a conversation, and we're down to actually just talk and not just call you a slur and call your name and call you hateful just for sharing your opinion and trying to get to the bottom of the solution. It is more than okay for you to not have an opinion sometimes. It's okay. It's okay for you to focus on your own life. I understand it's hard for you to sit here and have all these opinions on everything happening all over the world when you're just trying to figure out how to pay your own bills. You're not wrong for that. You're not wrong for wanting to take care of what's happening in your own country and not waving of the flag. You're not a bad person for not wanting to do that. It's all just, it's all crazy. It all points to a bigger issue, and we'll be talking about that in more videos to come. Thank you all for the support and watching this video. It means a ton to me. If you like this video, comment your thoughts below, like, subscribe. It means the world to me to have you here. And as always, I hope that you're going out and you understand. I know we talked about it before already, but do understand, one, be mindful of the media in your face and pay attention to how mainstream media is trying to twist narratives be mindful of that. But 2, understand that and know that you are in more control of your life than you may think. You can achieve anything you put your mind to. Just focus on that. Tunnel vision, focus on yourself, get what you need to do the things that, you know, to achieve what you want to achieve. Get that done. Do whatever you need to do. Just focus on you, achieve your goals and dreams, and don't let anyone stop or prevent you from doing that. So with that being said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Deuces.